Welcome back to the Red Elevator. I'm Nina. If you're new to this channel, welcome. We talk only about interior design and how to improve every aspect of your home and ultimately your life. So today I am going to rank the top 10 most popular interior design styles right now from order of preference. So lowest being 1, 10 being best. But not just from a trend perspective. I'm giving you the real scoop as an interior designer, what actually works, what gets requested the most, and what people think they want versus what they really end up loving long term. So look, even if you already have this design and it's not ranked very high, don't take it personally. This is just my opinion. I love everything that you guys do. I'm just sharing a little bit about how to really interpret these styles. And at the end of this, you might even surprise yourself and find that maybe you are not who you thought you were. And I know a lot of people are getting overwhelmed with Pinterest boards and aesthetic labels, and let's just cut through the noise and let's understand what's what so that you can create the best version of the aesthetic you love. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm gonna start with my least favorite, and we're gonna end up with my absolute favorite. For those of you that are super fans, you know what my favorite is. I want you to guess, and then let's see if you were right. And if you were right, sound off. I wanna know who the smart ones are here. Not that all of you aren't smart, but I wanna know which ones have really picked up my vibe. Okay, let's start with the one that is really a household name by now. And it's something that I don't dislike. I love all design, but perhaps I'm just a little bit tired of because it's just been so much of it. And that is the modern farmhouse. I bet a lot of you guessed that. So this style really rose to fame for its like warm, family-friendly vibe. And especially in where I live in California and Los Angeles, there was a lot happening of this modern farmhouse, and it just became ubiquitous. And when something is everywhere, I tend to tire of it quickly. So please, if you live in a beautiful farmhouse, I am sure it's gorgeous, and you probably have a beautiful home. Do not take this personally. I'm just tired of perhaps seeing it and ranking it as number 1. So this style really exploded, mostly due to the Joanna Gaines effect. And she is an interior designer who's on HGTV, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people were noticing this trend. And in this trend, you see a lot of crisp white walls, a lot of shiplap, a lot of rustic woods, a lot of fluted and ribbed millwork with matte black fixtures and oversized kitchen islands with the pendants. You've seen it. It's everywhere. And the reason it's everywhere is that it feels friendly and it's really great for family living. Everything is open. It's actually easy to duplicate and recreate as an architect and as a developer, which is another reason why it really took off. A lot of people, you know, just espoused the A-frame, threw in some shiplap, did some beadboard, and called it a day. But of course, there are ones that are out there that are very unique and very special with beautiful distressed doors and unique features. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mass-produced farmhouses. So look, my sister has a farmhouse. I love her house. I decorated it. So let's be, you know, authentic here and understand where we're coming from. So unfortunately, what's happened is that a lot of clients have come to now get tired of their farmhouse look, and so they're calling me to redo them. And that's actually something that is easily done because the outline of the home is fairly nice in terms of just being symmetrical and easy to work with. And we're seeing a move towards more authenticity. We're seeing less themed, more organic. So essentially what I'm saying is we are really upgrading and updating the interiors and removing the prop-like elements, like if you happen to have, you know, a painted canvas cow in the kitchen or something, those are being removed. So now we're seeing something that's really up my alley, which is this European twist on the modern farmhouse. with tactile materials, beautiful H patinas, moody rooms, definitely fewer props, and really loving it. By the way, I do deep dives like this on design all the time. That is what I'm known for. I'm an interior designer based in Los Angeles, and we have projects all over the world. And I love to give real designer perspective, not just someone who enjoys design. We are on the field building homes from the ground up, working with contractors, architects on the daily. So if you love interiors and want more of the why behind good design, not to mention we also do flip projects of our own, you'll want to stick around and subscribe to this channel because real world details are being shared, real world problems are being shared, and we hope that you can subscribe. It means the world. A lot of you think you're subscribed, but you're actually not. So if you could do that as a favor for us, we would be very, very, very grateful. Okay, number 2. This is maximalist. Again, if you're a maximalist, I love maximalists. Don't take this to offense. I have to rank them. So this is just my personal opinion. I still love maximalism, but this is truly a collector's dream. Bold colors, layered patterns, art-filled walls, vintage objects, ornate lighting. This is so good, but it can go so wrong if you don't have the power of restraint. Even maximalists have to have the power of restraint. So you just don't want to fill the space. You want to fill it with intention. And it's compelling. It tells you exactly who lives there. It gives unapologetically personal style and personality. And it gets tricky because it can start to feel like clutter. This is why a lot of maximalists fall short. And if you're a good maximalist, then I'm loving you. So luxury designers do love maximalism, but they edit ruthlessly. We edit like crazy, and there's a rhythm to the chaos. So we do a lot of repetition of shapes. We also have variation in scale. You know, there's a lot of thoughtful spacing between pieces because of the fact that there's so much of it. And when every item is screaming for attention, you really need to make sure that you're doing this beautifully and thoughtfully. And it takes a very trained eye to be able to do this. So if you're a maximalist, you want to build your collection slowly and methodically. Give your collections room to breathe. Give them time to associate themselves with one another and slowly bring in items that speak to you. Don't be afraid to move things around regularly. That's always fun to do. And let's now get into number 3. This is one of my least favorite styles, but there are elements of this style that I actually really love. So I don't know. It's called the Bohemian style. The boho aesthetic is super earthy, laid back, and full of texture. It has a lot of sort of layered rugs, rattan, warm tones. And as I'm thinking about it, I think I actually love Bohemian too. Guys, I'm a sucker for all styles because I get tired of one and I want to pivot to another. So I do love Bohemian, except when it's too Bohemian. You just don't want everything to be Bohemian. I guess what I'm trying to say today is that you have to have balance. You have to have balance in life with everything that you do when it comes to exercising and working. You want to have a work-life balance. You want to have a design balance. If everything is Bohemian, then nothing is Bohemian, if that makes sense. It just looks like a junkyard. If you do it thoughtfully and curate and have the sort of mix of things in your home, perhaps with a 70% penchant towards Bohemian, I love that. And that is how interior designers would do it. So if I had a client that hired me today and said, Nina, I'm Bohemian, I would say, wonderful. Let's get those old Bohemian textiles out. Let's do curtains that are Bohemian and then bring something really like simple to juxtapose that with. That's how you're really going to even notice those curtains. So you have to understand what it is that you're doing and be able to do it in a way that works. And the way to do that is really, as I mentioned, is to pick the pieces that speak to you, whether it's a rug that's Bohemian, beautiful Moroccan rug that you want to really focus on, and perhaps they're like matching little poofs that could work with it, not necessarily matching, but Bohemian poofs, and then you can trickle in some solid so that it doesn't become overwhelming, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you pull this off in a way that's very high-end and designer approved? Well, what I would do is I would pull from some global influences, like using real artisan pieces, like real hand-dyed textiles, vintage Moroccan rugs, like I've mentioned, sculptural wood forms, and balancing them with more edited architecture. That is really going to look great. And speaking of rugs, by the way, I just quickly want to share that I do have a line of Ruggable, guys, that I have designed from start to finish. I've had this line for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and it's just booming. So if you guys are looking for rugs that are washable, that are beautiful, that are super high end in terms of their design aesthetic, but really easy to clean because you can throw them in the wash or bissell the hell out of them, then I really recommend that you look at my Ruggable rugs. I am loving them. I have them all over my home. And if you have a pet, it's the best thing ever. So they will be linked in the description section if you guys want to check them out. All right, number 4 is Japanese Zen Japandi. So this is a fusion of Japanese and Scandinavian design, which is, of course, very calming, very quiet, very grounding. You have a lot of pale woods, low profile furniture, stone that is neutral. You've got linens and intentional negative space. It's more than just a look, it's a type of lifestyle. Again, why people love Japandi is that it makes you feel really rested in a way and makes you breathe slower. It's really has an emphasis on ease. It's really light, and there's a lot of decluttering and very little noise around it. And it's really beautiful. I do really like this look. As an interior designer, though, it is not as fun to do as some of the other projects that I may be doing, but there's always something to appreciate about each style. But it does have some negatives, which is that it's not really practical in a way. A home that's purely Japandi requires a lot of discipline, where you guys need to put the clutter away. You really need to be intentional about how you live. It's very tough if you have lots of kids. Can be done, but you just have to have that discipline. And some people mention that it can feel a little bit cold. So how you can incorporate it more in terms of practicality? Well, you could certainly add warmth through texture. You could layer in some drapery, some handmade vessels, some ambient lighting to keep it from, veering into the sterile minimalism. And that could really sort of update the Japandi style. Number 5, and we are getting to my favorite. So Scandinavian, what is Scandinavian design? A lot of people ask. Well, there's a lot of functional, airy, and emotionally warm pieces. You've got pale wood floors. It's a little bit like Japandi. Soft lighting, simple forms, and natural textile. Everything has a reason for being there, and it is really enduring, to be honest. It's been obviously around for decades. And it makes sense. It's easy to live in. It doesn't demand constant styling or upkeep. Again, you have to be minimal. You have to be clean. You can pretty much build a Scandinavian-inspired home quickly because it doesn't require a lot of items. And it is really basically stripped down. And so the negative might be that it might be too cold for you. It can start to feel a little generic, especially in the last few years when everybody went sort of minimal and then regretted it and is now bringing back color. So some mass market interpretations have really ruined this Scandinavian sort of beauty. And I really do love this. I'm a little tired of it just because it's just been an overkill. But if you have this and you want to make it a little bit more special and your own, I would definitely incorporate a lot of individual and beautiful Scandinavian art. I think that is really going to make it stand out. Large pieces that have a lot of intricacies, or something that is exactly the polar opposite of Scandinavian design. Imagine you have a very minimal home and you have this gorgeous, loud, colorful, piece of art. I think that juxtaposition is absolutely fabulous. So that's one way to sort of update that style. All right, number 6, the new traditional. So this style brings back the classic elements: symmetry, tailored upholstery, millwork, antiques, but reinterprets them in a lighter fabric, sort of updated silhouettes and softer palettes. And it's now gaining momentum. I don't know how I feel about this, which is why it's sort of in the middle. I don't really have an opinion about it quite yet. It feels familiar without being old-fashioned, which is nice. There's structure and elegance, but it also has this sort of looseness to it. It says timeless instead of trendy, which I always appreciate. It's sort of hard to put your finger on this style, which is why I want to see it develop a little bit more. And if you are in this genre or you like this kind of look, then you want to avoid the overstuffed furniture, the very heavy window treatments, and too many patterns layered without balance. So that's where it can fall, that's where it can really go wrong and feel overly traditional and almost dated. So that is how you need to sort of restrain yourself. And how I would do it in order to do it well is that I would definitely in this genre have antique pieces, and I would have reupholstery in perhaps modern linen. So for example, I would take a really old heritage furniture piece and I would reupholster it in something really fresh. And then maybe I would bring in contemporary lighting to offset it and give it a sense of refinement without just feeling stuffy. So that is, again, a very interesting style that's being developed. Number 7, one of my absolute favorites, which is the mid-century modern. This is absolutely a no-brainer for me. This one, to me, is the most timeless of all. And it's a staple. Clean lines, warm woods, functional silhouettes. It's really the gateway style for people starting who start to collect good pieces, whether it's Japandi, whether you are getting Murano pieces, whether you are getting, Mario Bellini pieces, whether you are getting Eames pieces. I mean, the list goes on and on of mid-century greats. And it's very adaptable because the proportions, if you stick to one decade, which is the 50s, then all of your pieces will be in proportion. So it's really great for people who are starting out, who appreciate mid-century design and can start collecting pieces over time. It has been commercialized. That's the negative. It's been commercialized into, ad nauseum. The amount of Mies van der Rohe, Barcelona chairs that I've seen, or, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, even the chair, even the sofa I'm on, the Mario Bellini, unfortunately, has been overplayed. So, but a good piece will always be a good piece. I'm just hoping people will stop buying the sofa so it brings back some of its originality. But, a good piece is always going to be a good piece. And what I am seeing with this era is that designers are using mid-century pieces as supporting actors, not the whole cast, if that makes sense. So we're pairing vintage finds with contemporary design to avoid a furniture showroom feel, which is what you want to do. I don't recommend going to DWR and buying everything there, even though each piece is wonderful, but it just looks too much like a showroom. All right, number 8, postmodern. So postmodern design doesn't take itself too seriously, guys. You'll notice a lot of playful proportions, wavy silhouettes, glossy finishes, and unexpected shapes. It's expressive, it's sculptural, and often a little bit surreal, sort of Dali-esque. And the reason it's popular again is that it breaks out of the safe, neutral mold, and it brings a lot of personality and levity back into interiors, certainly after a long run of hyper minimalism. But what is the potential issue? Well, a lot of it looks fun online, but truly isn't livable. So designers are really pushing back on how fast this trend is moving. There are unfortunately a lot of cheap replicas, sort of novelty furniture and plastic heavy builds that lack craftsmanship. And in luxury spaces, we're seeing it done in really nice, high quality materials and architectural restraint. But there's a lot of sort of gimmicky pieces that are being knocked off, which again, you're never going to know the source of these pieces and how much microplastics are in there. And if it's safe, you don't know how they were sourced. So I would be very careful not to do this. If you do love this style, then I would pick 1 or 2 standout elements. For example, a very sculptural side table or a beautiful wavy mirror, and just don't overdo it because you don't want it to look like a theme park, if that makes sense. Okay, number 9, modern organic. All right, so What I love about modern organic is that it's calm, it's tonal, it's rooted in materiality. The style is, to me, very timeless because it's all about stone, plaster, clay, curved furniture, and a neutral palette that leans into warm rather than sterility. And the reason it feels fresh is that there's an element of minimalism to it, which I love. And you guys know I don't like clutter. I just like to keep things edited and really clean. And you still get the visual stillness of the lines without the coldness, which I appreciate. And the materials do the heavy lifting here for you. So everything is textured, which I am obsessed with. It's very tactile. It's beautifully imperfect. Now, what could go wrong here when it's all just too beige? So people get this wrong. You don't want to have everything the same tone. You really need contrast, and otherwise you can just fall into this indistinguishable ambiguity, which nobody wants. So incorporate deeper tones, definitely mix your materials and your metals, and don't forget your bold sculptural pieces to add soul and contrast into your space. And it's no longer just pale beige and rounded. It's layered, it's artistic, it's emotionally immersive. It could be, striped painted walls with patinaed brass sconces and a beautiful hand woven throw on your cashmere chair. Need I go on? All right. Saving the best for last. By the way, if you guys are at your wit's end and you don't even know what style you have in your home and need my help, well, you can find me on Zoom. It's just a click in the description section. My Zoom calendar pops up and we can have a one-on-one for as little as 25 minutes and I can help with all of your dilemmas. Let's talk about my favorite style of all time. I want to know how many of you got this right. It is, that's right, I heard you, Art Deco. This style is dramatic, it's luxurious, and it's unapologetically bold. There's a lot of geometry, symmetry, lacquer, brass, velvet, mohair, cashmere, deep colors. Everything feels styled, rich, and a little theatrical. This is why I love it. I love theatrical. I want people to come into my home and feel loved and enveloped in beauty and imagination, and it brings glamour back into the conversation. And a sea of neutrals, it reminds us that design can be fun and expressive. Please, everyone, bring back fun and expressive. It's actually, by the way, trending hot right now, and which I appreciate. But again, this is a style that I espoused the day I built my forever home. This is very, very Art Deco home. I love it. I haven't gotten sick of it, and I will keep it like this forever. So where it can go wrong, though, by the way, it can always go wrong, is when it becomes overly literal, like just too theatrical, like a Art Deco movie theater. It's just too much deco, can feel like a movie set, especially if you're sourcing it from like fast furniture places. It can also overwhelm small spaces if you don't scale it properly. I've got high ceilings. I've got a lot of nuances with the soffits that I'm able to create this look without being overly Art Deco. So if you're doing this, I am your #1 fan. Just make sure you use it sparingly and deliberately. So a fluted cabinet here, a jewel tone velvet chair there. It should feel elevated, not themed. Don't bring, Art Deco art along with, the Art Deco, lamp next to the Art Deco credenza, under the Art Deco, sofa. Like, that's just too much. So I want to know what your favorite style is from this list, or which one you appreciate the most, or which one are you living in. So be confident in what you already love. I'm sure it's gorgeous and beautiful. My goal here is to teach you a little about interior design, help you elevate the style that you currently have, or just talk about design. I love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being such wonderful members of this community. We are growing. You know what my husband told me the other day, and of course, if you're here to the very end, you're a super fan, so I can ramble on for just a second. I said, I realized the other day that I have 120,000 subscribers, and he said, Nina, that's a lot. I'm like, is it a lot? Like, I don't know. I have no point of reference, really. And he said, it's 2 Rose Bowl fields full of people. For those of you who don't know, the Rose Bowl is a huge stadium here in Pasadena, and I thought 2 huge stadiums full of people, and that's where, again, my appreciation and gratitude came in. So thank you, all of you, for being part of this journey with me. I started this channel, I want to say about 5 years ago, just on a hunch, and I literally haven't stopped. I've made a video every week without fail, you know, except for 1 or 2 weeks here and there, but literally every week without fail for the last 5 years. And I couldn't have done it without your support. So thank you. And I'll see you guys next week on this channel, The Red Elevator.